Scott Sale is a retired physician who's been active in the homelessness circles for the past 10 years. He is the past chairman of the board of New Directions and Imagine LA, where he is still an active board member. And he is on the board of the West Side Coalition, and he just joined the Midtown Homeless Coalition. He's an active member of Leo Baeck Temple on the west side of LA, and he is our moderator for the Safe Parking panel. Come on up, Scott.
How should we do this since there are just two of us?
Just two.
Yes. And we have two mics over there?
Yeah, 2 mics over here.
Thank you. I don't know that I'm going to be able to sit in that chair, so I'm going to stand for a while. And Christine, I don't know that you want to sit in this chair either. Is that what you told me? So thank you all for coming tonight, and hopefully you'll endure the second panel and have enough energy to get to the third panel. What we're going to talk about tonight has actually been beautifully introduced by Mike Bonin and by Gil Cedillo and by others tonight about the safe parking program that's currently been in existence for over 10 years in Santa Barbara. We don't have any safe parking programs here in Los Angeles because we're not really allowed to. And if we have this emergency act that goes through the city council, then perhaps it'll be a slam dunk for faith-based organizations like my own at Leo Baeck Temple and others throughout all of LA County, of which there are 8,000 faith-based organizations, where we can safely park the 2,500 or 3,000 people who are living in their vehicles, including moms and their children and other people who are being forced out of neighborhoods, being forced off the streets, being cited unnecessarily and ticketed for parking wherever they possibly can, and then being forced to move from street to street or neighborhood to neighborhood just to hide from the law enforcement. So what we're hoping to accomplish at Leo Baeck Temple and at other communities and other organizations throughout LA are to model what is currently being done in Santa Barbara. And we're fortunate tonight to have Christine Schwartz with us, who is the director of the Safe Parking Program in Santa Barbara. And Christine, if you would come up here. And let's welcome Christine. Do you need help getting up those stairs? I was a physician. Not that I could do much about it these days, but we have an active physician in the first row. Thank you. Christine, thank you. Are you comfortable sitting? Okay, so go for it. So what we're going to accomplish here is learn the whys and no why nots of having a safe parking program here. So will you tell us a little bit about how you got started in Santa Barbara?
Sure. The Safe Parking Program in Santa Barbara started in about 2001. It was actually an original idea from a woman who used to work here in LA at City Hall, and she first thought of the idea when she walked out one night from her car to her car, and in the parking lot saw a number of people staying there. And after that, she moved to Santa Barbara, and she actually became a county, she was on the County Board of Supervisors. Oh, don't sit on my phone. Sorry. And thank you. And she had, after that became, she was on the County Board of Supervisors, and together with local homeless advocates, the city of Santa Barbara, and the county, they decided to pilot the program. And we started with a couple of lots, and it was hosted initially by Catholic Charities. And after about a year, it transferred to New Beginnings Counseling Center, which is the agency that I run. And we've been in business now for 14 years with the program. We started with a couple of lots. We now have 20 lots. We have 114 spaces in the city of Santa Barbara and in the city of Goleta. At any given night, we shelter approximately 140 people. That's because there are couples and families living in a vehicle. And we work seamlessly with local law enforcement, with the city, with the county. We have lots that are owned by the city. We have lots that are owned by the county. Probably half of our lots are owned by faith-based organizations throughout Santa Barbara and Goleta. And we also actually have a number of for-profit businesses that have opened up their lots to us, as well as a couple of nonprofits.
Thank you very much. So how long did it actually take you to get this program started?
It was probably several years of talking about it before it actually became a reality. But once the pilot began, we immediately saw how successful it was, and from there, the lots grew pretty quickly. And we continue to try and add lots throughout the community, and routinely have people approach us. And honestly, in some neighborhoods, it's more difficult than others to try to create even one space in a parking lot, and we take a lot of time and effort into meeting with community neighborhood watch groups and educating people about the program, and for the most part, we have been very successful. There's been one or two situations where the neighbors have been incredibly resistant to the idea, and they've appealed, again, even just one space coming into a lot. And fortunately, the city of Goleta has been a great advocate of the program, and they have repeatedly denied their appeals. And we have actually 2 spaces in that lot now.
So the program actually started from the county of Santa Barbara and in conjunction with the city of Santa Barbara?
Correct. The county, it was sort of launched by a member of the County Board of Supervisors with the city of Santa Barbara, and we actually have a contract. We've had a contract, I think, ever since then, an annual contract with the city of Santa Barbara, which provides us about 16% of the program's funding for the year.
Yeah, so how much funding do you need for the program?
Each year varies a little bit. The program has 3 different components. The first is the safe parking component of it, where we actually have staff who go out and monitor the lots every night and every morning. In Santa Barbara, the way that it's organized is that people are allowed to park beginning at 7 p.m., and then they need to vacate the lot by 7 a.m. There are very strict guidelines with regard to what they can do while they're there, and it really simply is an opportunity for them to have shelter. They can't, open up their back and have a barbecue or invite friends over. It's not a party kind of an environment. It is simply a shelter. So they come in at 7 p.m. And they leave at 7 a.m. And we have monitors who who make sure that they're safe and make sure there isn't any problem. And we have case managers as well as occasional volunteers. In addition to that, we have a component which works to house people. And we, like many of the programs that you heard of tonight, utilize the Housing First model, and we employ a process called rapid rehousing, and that means that you rapidly try to get somebody back into housing. And we have case management staff who work with our program clients, and it's a requirement in order for them to get financial assistance for us to work with them, not only to get back into housing, but to look at their overall financial situation. One of the biggest hurdles that people have who become homeless is that they have insufficient income to get back into housing. So a variety of different programs provide assistance, rapid rehousing assistance, for people to get help with paying a security deposit or a utility deposit. Oftentimes they've had an eviction, and so they need assistance with repairing their credit. And so our case managers work not only to help them with housing stability, but they also work to help them find employment. We have a veterans program, and oftentimes there are veterans who have suffered significant trauma through combat, for example, and they're not aware that they have the ability to get additional benefits. So a crucial part of working with people to get back into housing is to look at all of the components and in particular, do they have sufficient income to maintain housing? Are they eligible for what's called a Section 8 voucher or what's called a HUD-VASH voucher? All of these pieces go into the case management part of what we do. And then the third part of what we do is street outreach. And we not only look to find other people who are newly homeless in their vehicles, but we also look to help people on the street and get them connected to other services.
So what is the total cost?
I'm like, what was the what was his question? So the total cost, it can fluctuate depending on the amount of financial assistance that we provide to people, but this, it runs around $260,000, and 75% of that is staffing. Another 16% or so is the financial assistance that we pay for, and sometimes that amount can increase. And then the remainder of it is programmatic expenses such as porta potty rentals, insurance, office supplies, things like that.
And of the 114 spots that you currently have, they're fully occupied, right?
All the time.
All of them are, yeah. And how many of those people per month actually end up getting housed?
It totally varies. People can come in and be in our program for as little as a few weeks, and they can come in and be in our program for as many as a couple of years. And it again, really depends on their individual situation. So many people find themselves living in their vehicles because of a perfect storm, if you will, of circumstances. They had multiple heart attacks, or they're in a domestic violence situation, or they're unemployed and were unable to find an additional job. They are developmentally disabled. I mean, there are a lot of different reasons why people find themselves in this situation, and unlike the more chronically homeless people who are living on the street, they have the resources to be able to maintain their vehicle through some type of income. And they think, well, let me just do this for a little bit. If I have, money, I can put some things in storage, and then I'll be okay in a couple of months. And oftentimes that happens, but sometimes it doesn't. And then I know in Los Angeles, I think you have a similar problem with, the Section 8 voucher list, right? People can be waiting for literally years in order to get housing assistance. And so sometimes people have to wait for that long before they can afford to move back into housing.
Do you have any idea how many people are still living in their vehicles not in your lots? And do those people, do they have to move around so that they avoid law enforcement? And can they get ticketed in Santa Barbara?
I checked this week, I think we have 51 people on our waiting list right now. I'm sure there are more. Santa Barbara, is somewhat dwarfed by the number of homeless people that you have in Los Angeles, but for our community, we have quite a few. And so what they do is they learn where you can park on the streets and mostly be undetected. What happens is, though, that if they do get tickets, that further exacerbates their situation because now they have more debt with the tickets, and then it gets compounded. And so a part of what we do is advocate for them on behalf of them with the police department, and we work very well together with the law enforcement. So if they know that they're in our program or on the waiting list, then they'll work to reduce or eliminate the tickets.
No, that's a beautiful thing. That's good to hear. What about their waste during the evening? How do you handle that? Do you have porta potties? Does the city provide any kind of restroom facility, shower facility, waste facility?
Sure. I learned more about porta potties in the last couple of years than I ever thought I would. So each lot is different. Each lot has its own personality. Some lots are women only. Some lots are families only. Some are RVs only. Each one has its own little community and personality. And with that, each one therefore has its own type of facilities. Some lots have a porta potty that either are provided by our program or provided by the county. Some lots have porta potties that are provided by the organization, like the faith-based organization that is housing us. The county provides porta potties in certain lots, and then there are other lots where the vehicles have to be self-contained. So it's an RV, or some people who have vans get very clever about converting the back of their van and having a little kind of a portable porta potty. And then there are a few of the lots who allow our clients to use their restroom facilities as well as their laundry and plug in and Wi-Fi. There was a somewhat notable news story on KEYT, the ABC affiliate in Santa Barbara a while back, with one of our clients, where we had a mother and 2 daughters who were living in their vehicle with their dogs, and the little girl sits under the street light at night under the portico in the facility where we're at, and that's how she does her studying. And it's amazing because she's got straight A's, and she just works so hard. And at midnight you can see her sitting there hunched over, reading, and it really is, it's quite amazing. Anyway, so each lot has different amenities that are available.
Okay. What about the city officials now? Is there any way, and I know I've asked you this off camera, but is there any way that anybody could possibly quantitate how much money has been saved by safely parking these vehicles rather than having them be cited, towed, the people then ending up in shelters that also cost money? Is there anybody's ever looked at anything like that?
It's a great question, and something that we really ought to do, and it's on the list, but unfortunately we haven't gotten to it yet. The one thing I will say is that law enforcement loves us because it takes such a huge piece of their work, at night, off the plate. They drive by, they see, if they have any concern or question about something, they'll see our permit in the window, and they just keep right on going. And in fact, as I mentioned, a lot of the lots that have the people who are in their vehicles have formed community, and so they'll call the police or they'll call us in the middle of, we have a 24/7 hotline or emergency number, and they'll call and they'll say, hey, there's a suspicious guy driving around. And I was showing actually one of our politicians the lots last night, and we were driving around, and somebody called on me because they didn't recognize the car. So
And you didn't have a sticker?
I didn't have a sticker, yeah. It's just from the time and resources that are allocated by the police department in order to police those areas, it's virtually eliminated. And then the services that we provide through case management. Someone was talking earlier about frequent trips to the ER, and our being able to connect people to services and to financial assistance can help prevent that and/or intervene at an earlier time so that it doesn't escalate to the point where there are a lot of emergency room visits. So somebody should quantify it, but unfortunately we haven't yet.
So just a couple more things. So just to reiterate, because Councilman Bonin mentioned it, was there anything in particular about the permitting process that the city or the county had difficulty with in terms of allowing the city to use the lots after 7 p.m., to allow a private organization, a faith-based community to be able to use their lot? Was there any permitting issue that you guys came up against?
No, in Santa Barbara, anybody can basically do it as long as they are working with the program, which is us, and that it's monitored and managed.
So theoretically, if the city of Los Angeles or the county said, we're going to adopt a safe parking program, that if our particular synagogue wanted then to follow the rules of that particular safe parking program, that it would be endorsed and blessed and approved.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So, yes.
There is one thing I'd mention, and I want to mention it while I'm remembering. For those of you who have any ability to do anything about this, safe parking, a safe parking program isn't considered a shelter. And shelters, with walls and beds are considered shelters. And we lose out on a significant amount of funding because we are not designated as a shelter. And HUD, and however that happens, and I've been trying to work on that, but if you all can help with that, HUD needs to designate these types of programs as shelters because that opens up a significant amount of funding in order to help with the case management and the other services, the financial assistance that can be provided as a result. And, we need to be able to check that box off on the application, and we can't do that now. So that's something that's really important.
Thank you very much. So is LAPD in the room? Oh, they were? Okay, I just want to make sure they heard the message that this will make their lives easier. So LAPD, we're going to make sure that you hear that message. So Christine, thank you very much for coming down here and sharing with us and enlightening me even further after these many years that I've been working on this project. So thank you very much.
Thank you.